The Chancellor is talking about taxing people more. Tax on the property. Is it going to be a capital gains tax? Is it going to be reoccurring tax? Not just for property investors. This is going to be for residential homeowners and how they're going to be taxed. So let's talk about it. Let me tell you what I think about the whole thing. Hello everybody, my name is Payam, and at Niche we talk about everything to do with property, really on the property financing side. But one of the biggest aspects of purchasing properties and financing properties is tax. And it's in the news, it's everywhere at the moment. The Chancellor is thinking about putting in some taxes. So whether it's going to be a capital gains tax or it's going to be a reoccurring tax. Let's talk about the two, why they're looking to do this, how they're looking to do this, what are they trying to emulate, and how are they trying to copy other countries. So in my opinion, they're trying to go for the easy option. Basically, people that own properties are an easy touch, especially if they're higher value properties, as well as landlords. Obviously, in this scenario, they've already gone through the landlords and they've hammered their landlords already. So now they're looking at those people that own properties that are higher value properties in their opinion. So let's talk about the first point that they're sort of going through, which is essentially a capital gains tax on your private residential home. At the moment, there is no capital gains tax on your main residence. So what they're trying to do, or what they're talking about, is essentially putting a capital gains tax on properties that are 1.5 million or over. So why I think this is silly and why I think this is a soft touch. Look, if they're going to tax the rich, there's nobody going to sort of street on the marches and go, please save the rich, please help them. Oh my God, they've got 1.5 million. Why? They can afford it. And this is counterproductive. And the reason they're looking at these things is because even if you look at California, there are taxes like this on larger properties. In fact, most properties, there is a capital gains tax on private residential properties. Now, there are exemptions in terms of, there's a relief. So it's really hitting those larger properties, the more expensive properties. The reason I think this is a slippery slope is because, look, as soon as they're bringing a tax, at the moment they say 1.5 million. Your average Joe is going to go, well, my property is only worth 400 or 500. It's never going to affect me. Good, let them pay the taxes. But looking at the bigger picture, first of all, it will affect a lot of people that are high earners, right? And high earners are being hammered. At the moment, there's a big thing about people that are wealthy leaving the country. Granted, there's a lot of those people at the moment are entrepreneurs, okay? They may have assets, they may have property, they may restructure things to go abroad, right? Your average, and I want to say your average Joe professional, those lawyers, we say, oh, London's all about the legal system. That's why for hundreds of years, people have invested into London. That's why we've got some of the best lawyers in the world in London. Why? Because there's a history of London being predictable, the South, England being predictable. And the problem is with all of this stuff is a lot of those lawyers come from global talent all around the world, okay? All of a sudden, yes, you might be on 150k, 200k, 300k a salary, but 300k, let's say you're going to buy a £2 million property and you're going to be here in the UK for 5 years. If you're going to get hit with a capital gains tax, you've really got to think about that. You've really got to think, okay, I'm going to now have to pay additional taxes. Not only I'm paying 45% tax, I'm now being hit with this as well. And that will be counterproductive to keep talent in the UK, in London. And the property prices around London and the South are going to get absolutely hammered. Okay. Now, the reason they're being clever is because it's on the never. It's kicking the goalpost down the line, because it's essentially doing what inheritance tax does, which says, well, I don't have to pay it now. I'll pay it on the sale. Okay. But there's a lot of people that will essentially be looking to sell. So there's going to be a stampede happening for people to sell. Property prices are going to reduce, and there's going to be essentially a bit of a mini crash happening, okay, in the South, in those sort of areas. And I don't think, with the way the market is, the interest rate is, there's going to be people lining up to pick up these properties for £1.5–2 million. Do you know you need to be on average income, you need 4.5 times to 5 times income. Yes, there are some lenders that will do 5.5 to 6, but let's say 4.5 to 5 times income. Okay, you still need to be on a hell of a lot of income to be able to afford one of these properties, right? So I think it's an issue. I think they're looking at the states. I think they're looking at stealth taxes, and I think whatever figure they give you, they will reduce it. They will play around with it. They will play politics with it, whether it's Labour, Conservative, Reform, whoever it is, okay? They will play politics with these tax figures down the line. The second thing that they're looking at is a reoccurring tax on properties, it's been mentioned, over £500,000. So if you own a property more, I don't know, £600,000-700,000, they're now talking about an annual tax. Now, I thought there was an annual tax, which is called council tax. Okay, so I pay council tax. I think I pay £300 a month council tax, which is one of the highest. I have to say, I look at people's council taxes. I'm always moaning to say, why am I paying so much council tax compared to the other people? But we're paying council tax already, but they're now talking about the value of your property and paying a tax on that annually. Okay, I don't think they will go down this route. I think there will be uproar if they go down this road, and I think it's gonna cause them too much grief. I think they're gonna go down the first option. If they are gonna start taxing people, they're not gonna go from the £500,000, and I don't think they will go down the reoccurring tax. I think it may come in the future, but I think the easier fruit to pick out of the tree is to say we're gonna tax people on capital gains tax over £1.5 million, because your average Joe is gonna go, I don't care, I'm never gonna get to that stage. Good, let it happen, okay? But if you start going down the reoccurring taxes, all of a sudden you may come in at £500,000. What happens? They may reduce it to 350. All of a sudden more people go into the tax threshold, and it is stealth tax, and I think it will cause them too much hassle. So I personally don't think they're going to go down the second route. I think there is certainly the danger that they will go down the capital gains tax route on higher value properties, and if they do, that's a slippery slope, and I think there's going to be problems within that. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I'm being biased, because listen, I make a living out of property, okay? I make a living out of finances and refinancing and selling properties, and it could affect my business, although I don't get too many £3 million properties, £4 million properties. And I have to say, the problem with all of this is the people that could really afford it don't really care. The sheikh sitting in Kuwait who's going to buy a £6 million property doesn't really care, okay? He'll pay it. I think the professionals in London, the professionals in the south that are living, they're going to get hammered. They're already taxed quite heavily compared to the others, and they're going to get hammered. And back of their mind, if this tax is in there, there's going to be problems around that. Maybe they'll come out with some exclusions. If you sell it within 5 years, you don't have to do this. Obviously, it's a capital gains tax, so there may be an exemption up to £500,000 gain, or they'll do something to sweeten it. But if they bring it in, mark my words, that's a really bad sign, because it's not going to look that bad initially, but then they will tweak things. Okay, it will tweak things, just like they tweak things in regards to inheritance tax. Keeping the threshold, keeping the exemption period, they've froze it, and we're already getting taxed heavily across the board. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment here, like and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, guys, about 70% of all people don't subscribe. So please try to subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. The content of this video does not constitute giving advice. It's purely for information purposes. All cases should be discussed with a professional mortgage broker. As a mortgage is secured against your home or property, it could be repossessed if you do not keep up mortgage payments. Niche advice is authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.